I think we can all agree that mythologies and their stories are quite bizarre already, but as they say with pretty much everything, some are more so than others. Let's have a look at some of the weirder ones. Let's start with ancient Egypt, as they were probably one of, if not the first mythology you thought of when you thought stuff gets weird. For one thing, of all the animals in the world to worship, they worshipped cats. Supposedly because they were thought of as protectors of the home ever since a pharaoh's life was saved by a cat or two. They worshipped cats to the point that causing a cat any harm, even accidentally, would have you sentenced to death. Another thing about ancient Egyptian mythology was that stories about some of the gods sound straight out of Crazy Town. One of the most notable is how Osiris became king of the underworld. It started when his brother/brother-in-law, Sweet Home Ancient Egypt, Set, killed him by giving him a sarcophagus because Osiris fit inside, and throwing him down the Nile, and at some point cutting him up into 14 pieces. Don't ask me when, it's unclear. Eventually, his wife, Aset, who is much more famous by a different name, but I'm not going to say it because the algorithm might see this video as controversial if it ever gets big enough. If I say it, so Aset, and Set's wife, Nephthys, who betrays her husband after finding out he killed Osiris, find all the pieces and put them back together. Except for one. Guess what it is? A, his brain, B, his heart, C, his beard, or D, his, cannon and bolas. If you went for D, you're right! As a result, they make a prosthetic out of metal, and then, depending on the version, either Osiris gets resurrected as he has a complete body, or that's when Horus is conceived. So why did Osiris become king of the underworld? Basically because the whole he was resurrected thing was kind of a lie. He's still technically dead. Don't ask me what the difference between alive again and reanimated is. Honestly, I could go into so much more detail about ancient Egypt, but we have other mythologies to talk about. Now, another mythology known for being kind of weird is Norse mythology. Now, for this, I'm going to talk about almost nothing from the MCU, except for Thor, Loki, Heimdall, Odin, Frigg, etc. being present because, obviously, and instead, I'm going to look at stories that may be weirder than you expect. So, in Norse mythology, Mjolnir wasn't forged in the heart of a dying star, as Chris Hemsworth would have you believe. In actuality, it was made by Brokkr and Atri, in a bet Loki orchestrated between them and the Sons of Ivaldi. The latter group Loki needed to win. You see, Loki convinced the Sons of Ivaldi that Brokkr and Atri claimed to be the best craftsmen in the 9 realms, and were willing to prove it in a contest of making gifts for the Aesir, the gods living in Asgard, a lie which the sons believed. Loki tried the same trick on Brokkr and Atri, except with the Sons of Ivaldi as the challengers, but those two brothers didn't fall for it, and only accepted if they could have Loki's head as a prize. Hence, Loki attempted to sabotage Brokkr and Atri multiple times, only succeeding once, causing a defect in one of their gifts. Why did Loki do this in the first place? Well, other than just being god of mischief Loki, he had cut the hair of Sif, his sister-in-law. Yeah, the MCU did get Loki and Thor being brothers right. When each pair of dwarfs presented their gifts, they consisted of, along with Sif's new hair, don't ask me how in Nidavellir you can make hair in a forge, many iconic items in Norse mythology, such as Odin's spear Gungnir, the boar Gullinbursti, Freyr-shaped Skidbladnir, and Mjolnir, the one with a defect, as its handle was too short to be used to its full potential as a hammer. However, it was pointed out that Mjolnir would ever either break or miss, and it would return to Thor when thrown. Another thing the MCU got right. But I have no idea who thought of a hammer as a throwing weapon in old Scandinavia. The brothers Brokkr and Atri won Loki's head, but Loki pointed out that they did not win his neck, saving him from decapitation, so they just sewed his mouth shut. There's so much more I could talk about in regards to Norse mythology as well, but we have to move on to the final mythology for today. There are some things in Japanese mythology, or as I should say, the Shinto religion, from the utterly ridiculous amount of yokai to the kinds of stuff the kami get up to. Today we're going to talk about that one time the sun, or rather the embodiment of it, hid in a cave due to the actions of her brother. Basically, after Amaterasu, said sun kami/goddess, and her brother Susanoo no Mikoto, who is going to be referred to as Susanoo for the rest of this video, have a kami making contest, because that's the thing, there are millions of kami at this point, where it wasn't super clear how to win, causing Susanoo to throw a flayed horse into Amaterasu's weaving hall, causing one of her attendants to either die on the spot, presumably due to shock, or and all that caused Amaterasu to hide away in the cave of Ama-no-iwato, a real cave in Japan, by the way. The other kami did 3 things to get around. 1, put roosters in the cave to make her think it was morning and have her come out, mythology logic. 2, put a mirror in front of the cave so she's intrigued by her own reflection and comes out. It's not super clear. And 3, have ama-no-iwato, or for the sake of shortness, Uzume, do some exotic dancing to lure her out. Trust me, I am making absolutely none of this video up. This is all real mythology. After those 3 things, Amaterasu comes out of the cave, or maybe not. Either as a combined result of all 3, or the first 2 failed and the third was a success. It's up for interpretation. So I think we've all learned that mythology from around the world can be pretty weird. From cat worship to forging hair to making the sun come out of a cave, and I'm sure there are countless more examples. So I was thinking that if this video got enough support, I would look at some more weird tales from the world mythology. Lol.